guys, it's Megan, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. I don't know why. I guess I've just been in the mood to kind of switch things up. But anyways, today I thought it would be fun to show you guys my top 10 favorite crafts that I've ever made. These are all things that I've made either completely from scratch or added some sort of DIY element to that I either use or look at often. I've narrowed my list down to things that I've made in videos on this channel. So if you see something that you think you would like to make, I'll have all of the projects that I mentioned in this video linked down below. So I think that's all I had to say, so let's just get into it. One of my favorite projects that I've made is this light box. I showed you guys how I made this in my recent cardboard crafts video, and I've been using this a ton lately. This project is super useful if you do any kind of product photography or make any sort of videos. And all you need to make it is some recycled cardboard. It's essentially a box with 3 of the sides cut out and covered with white fabric to diffuse the light. I put poster board inside the box to create a seamless backdrop, stick in whatever I want to film, and the quality is instantly so much better. This has been awesome to use during the winter when there's not that much natural light. And my favorite part about this is that when you're done, you can just fold it up and it stores nice and flat. It barely takes up any space. It's great. Another thing that I made that I use all the time is this paint water dish. This was inspired by those silicone mats that people use to clean off their makeup brushes. I learned that there was a product called a paint puck, which is essentially those makeup brush cleaners but for your paintbrushes. I thought they were kind of overpriced and I could not find them anywhere, so I decided to DIY my own, redneck version. All this is an old plastic container with some random dots of hot glue at the bottom. It took me like 5 minutes to make, but it works so well. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it works. This next project was something that I made during my craft room makeover series. Honestly, I love everything about this room, but one of my favorite things that I made was this wall organizer made from old jeans. I had just cleaned out my closet and I realized that I was keeping all these jeans that I have no prayer of ever fitting into again. Unfortunately, my butt's gotten a little bigger since I was 12. It happens. So instead of just letting them sit in my closet for another 5 years, I decided to turn them into something useful. I cut off all the pockets, sewed them together, and turned them into a wall organizer. It's a little bit uneven, but it is super functional. I keep all sorts of random stuff in there. I put belt loops along the edges, and the ones on the sides are perfect for storing scissors. The pockets hold all sorts of things like random external hard drives, knives, glue. I'm looking over there to see what's all in there. A random lint roller. I put keychains on some more of the belt loops and a little thing with headphones. All kinds of random stuff in there. This next project involved more decorating than actually making anything, but I am still so obsessed with it. Again, this was around the time when I was cleaning out my room, and I hadn't really done much with my room since middle school, obviously, because when I was in middle school, I used this medicine cabinet and I hung it low down on the wall to use as sort of a makeshift vanity. I had a mirror above it and I would keep all of my beauty products in there, and I collaged all over the front of it. I collaged with random magazine pictures. I really wish that I would have taken better pictures of it before I redid it. I took pictures of it at some point, but I cannot find them. Eventually, I decided that you don't really need a cabinet with Zac Efron and Selena Gomez on it. I spent 12 hours, probably more, just sanding off the magazine pictures and trying to get the doors as smooth as possible because I had those on there really good. I definitely used polyurethane or some kind of strong, I did not use Mod Podge, let's just say that, because it was very hard to get these off, but I eventually got most of it off. It still looked a little bit rough, so I decided I wanted to do some sort of painting to cover it. I really like these flowers inspired by a girl named KT's Canvases on TikTok, and I thought they were so cute. I was just like, oh, I need to do this on something, so I put purple flowers all over the cabinet and I love it. I am obsessed with this. Honestly, looking at this cabinet just makes me so happy when before it was just a little bit cringy. And it's a little bit more, I guess, timeless than the other one. The other one was magazine cutouts from 2010. That might be some people's aesthetic, but we've moved on and I'm happy that I was able to salvage it, I guess. A project that I made recently that I was really proud of was this gnome decoration. I made this for my mom for Christmas. It's a gnome with hands that you can change out. It's holding different things depending on what season it is. And I designed the whole thing myself with images from Cricut Design Space. This wasn't a pre-made thing. And it painted all the little individual pieces and put resin over it. It was a process. It took a long time. And I actually made a second one of these too for my grandma. I used the same hands that I used for the one for my mom, but I made hers into an angel since she collects angels. That one I was like hustling to finish on Christmas Eve, and I forgot to take a picture of it, but I do have the file if anyone is interested. Like I said, it's the same thing, but it's an angel. And they went over really well. They both really seem to like them. The next project that I made that has been so useful are these bin labels for my craft room. These are extremely simple, but they're something that gets used literally every day. The first version of the labels that I made was a little bit more complicated. I cut out circles from cardboard by hand and hole punched them by hand, covered them with contact paper, and then did the labels on them with vinyl. And those have been super durable, they've held up really well, but when it was time to make some new labels, I was like, I kind of want an easier way to do this. So I made a new design that just cuts out cardstock directly on the Cricut, and it puts the name directly on there. You literally don't have to do anything except put the paper in the machine, and it makes the whole label for you. And these take way less time to make, and they look just as good in my opinion. But seriously though, if you have a Cricut and you haven't already, just like label everything in your house. By labeling things like this, I have saved myself so much time just hunting for stuff. I don't know, I feel like it's kind of common sense to do that, but I'm a little bit lacking in that department. I just didn't label anything until 2 or 3 years ago, but ever since I did, I have been so much more organized. So 10 out of 10, definitely recommend it. Last year, when the whole, quarantine situation was first going on, I decided that it would be the perfect time to revamp my bedroom. Almost everything in there was a DIY project, but one of my favorite things that I did was make these yarn tassels. I used yarn in a couple different places throughout the room. The main thing that I made was this big yarn tassel garland. I still love the way this looks, and it was a super cheap and easy way to fill up a blank wall. I also made this basket that I used to store random things. The basket, I thrifted and spray painted it probably like literally 10 years ago, and I updated it by adding some smaller tassels that I made from yarn. I made these ties for my curtain too, and this rainbow wall hanging. Honestly, I'm just so impressed with how much you can do with $10 worth of yarn. And I still have about half of it left. So if you have any ideas of things to do with yarn, let me know in the comments. I did do this before I got my kittens, Millie and Marty though, and they they pulled the tassel garland off the wall twice. And freaking Millie, okay, like in the video I made this wall decal. I took clear contact paper and then painted over it to make a wall decal, and she keeps pulling this thing off the wall. Like she just keeps ripping little pieces off of it. And I'm gonna have to do something with that eventually. I don't know, I've just been like too tired to do anything about it. I'm kind of bummed because I liked that, but it took so long, like I'm not making another one. So if you have any ideas of what I could do in that little area, also let me know. This next project I've mentioned quite a few times on my channel, but I still think that this idea is so cool. And that is using recycled cardboard to make bulletin boards. I made these huge pin boards for my craft room from a cardboard box and some fabric. All I did was glue 3 layers of cardboard together, covered it with some fabric, and stuck it on the wall with some command strips. This is where I store all of my small paint tubes. I used to have these in a little drawer, and since I have so many of them, it was so hard to find the color that I needed. But now I have them all in a specific order, so I can just look at the swatch and quickly find what I need. I also have a mini version that I made in my room. I use this one as more of like a regular pin board, but I'm probably going to store earrings on here eventually. I also made one with ribbons to store hair clips and bobby pins. Seriously though, this is like the easiest project ever. It's super inexpensive and it is one of the most useful things that I've made. Project number 9 is super random, but it's something that I use literally every day. And that project is my nightstand. I have a bed with drawers at the bottom, and a traditional nightstand makes it kind of hard to access that third drawer. So what I did was I got one of those $10 wooden crates from Michael's and added an extra piece of wood on the top edge and inside of it. That way the top's flat, and I have an easier time sliding the basket in and out if I need to. I painted the whole thing white and put marble contact paper on top. And inside the crate, I put this little basket from Target. The basket has become a little bit deformed, honestly, but otherwise this project has worked out great. The last project on this list was another thing that I used to organize my craft room, and that is this scrapbook paper organizer. Literally all this is just a box covered with duct tape, but the thing that makes this special is the way that the scrapbook paper is stored. Before, I just had my scrapbook paper sitting on top of each other like this. Every time that I wanted to use it, I had to just pull everything off the shelf, and it just made a huge mess. But with this method, the paper pads are stored upside down, so I can just go through and flip through the paper while it's still in the box. instead of having to pull everything down off the shelf. And this just makes it so much easier to see what I have and to put things back when I'm done. And if you have a lot of scrapbook paper, definitely recommend doing this. So yeah, those are my 10 favorite crafts that I've ever made. Well, at least the stuff that I've made in the past few years anyway. If you've made it this far, let me know in the comments, what is your favorite craft that you've ever made? So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos just like this one. My merch, my website, and all of my social media will be linked down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys later. Bye!